a big believer of just showing up. And so the way that this actually started is that there are leadership calls at the beginning of the week called the growth call. And I just show up to it. And so the first lesson, if you get anything from me, is don't wait to be invited. So I show up to these leadership calls because I believe that we grow into the conversations around us. And one of the days, Teresa was actually featured, and she was talking about how excellent these team huddles were that she was doing in the morning. And so I sent her an email and I said, I want to be a part. How can I find out more? I would like to, learn about your huddles. So she sends me a link and I just joined and I kept showing up and I enjoyed the conversation and it was a great start to my morning. And so I believe in, like I said, just crashing the party. And that's how I became a family member of Dallas Preston Road.
You are definitely a family member. So I am so thankful that you joined in. So without further ado, I want you to jump in. And again, you'll find for me, I typically do not have set questions or anything. I just go where the conversation in my heart takes me, right? So today I'm giving you the floor because you're involved in so many different things. And I want to know what's moving the needle for you currently, right? Um, what's exciting you? What's making your heart smile? Because again, you're involved in so many different things. Give me one or two that are really impactful currently.
Absolutely. Thank you for that question. So, the one thing I am involved in is community, and it looks like a lot of things because it goes deep. So, a lot of times we say things that, what would you tell new agents? What would you tell your younger self? And I believe that hard work is important and you have to get clear about what that means to you. So, a little bit of background, and I know I probably sent over a bio and a resume and all of these things and all of the things that get us excited of agents, right? On why we should listen to this person. And I got to a place in my life where I realized like those things weren't really making me happy. I had never been more disconnected from the community that I said I was looking to serve. Even just in my business, I felt like I was just really swimming upstream. And I had to take a step back and really reflect on why am I doing these things? So one of the things that I shared is that I serve on the board of Keller Williams Quantum Leap. I'm sorry, KW Next Gen. I say are served on that board for 7 years. And if you've been in a part of Quantum Leap, one thing they'll talk to you about is your personal mission. Why are you doing this? So my personal mission is to create spaces that restore the soul, inspire the mind, and fund the future. And one of those reasons was because I just believe, and I may step on some toes, coaches and market
It's
center
okay.
leaders.
It's okay.
Um, I believe we talk about production too much. We talk about production, we don't talk about the person. And so what ends up happening is there's this disconnect from business, and we see the after effects once people burn out, once people's families fall apart, once people fall into addiction. And so it was really important for me to say, well, it's not just enough to make money because I've made money and I wasn't happy. So what was missing? And what was missing was the community. And so that's what you guys see is that I'm just very involved in community, and that moves the needle because when people know, like, and trust you, they do business with you. So it's created an ease-filled business for myself.
And when you speak of community, because I've noticed recently, now again, I know you're in Houston, and I've had a chance to visit Houston in the humidity forever, right? Um, Give it to me briefly. Where does You just did a video, you were in the third ward, fifth ward. I played ball with so many guys from Jack Yates, right, which is seventh ward or wherever. Where does that come from? And is there an explanation to these wards? And I know every community is probably uniquely different, but I'm sitting here going, talk to me. I don't even, I mean, I know Jack Yates. That's all I know about Houston because I played with so many guys from that school. So are the communities all different? And maybe you're frozen there. Talk to me. Tell me, what is all that about?
So I grew up in Third Ward.
Okay.
It's home. It's where I live. And the
Okay.
way this started is actually because I was running numbers on the business, and I realized that depending on the year, almost 40 to 60% of our business were relocations. People were moving to Houston. They heard about Sunday Fun Day. We were a good turn up, and say they were like, "Bet we want to live here." And so one of the questions I always ask people, I mean, this was turning out when I would go out with people, most of the people I meet were not from Houston. So the first question I ask is, where did you move to? And they usually say something super far, like the Woodlands. No shade to the Woodlands. However, if you're a young adult or you're, young family growing, it's just not. The Woodlands and Houston are two different areas. And so I said, well, how did you choose that place? And they said, well, we heard Third Ward was dangerous. We heard these areas were dangerous. And I was thinking to myself, what are you talking about? Like, this is the epicenter. This is home. This is where, if you're looking at lifestyle and real estate and investing, this is inner city Houston, Harris County. And what I learned was everybody around the country was giving us a narrative that was not true. And so if I wanted to change that, I had to tell our own story. And so what I started doing was I just started recording when I go out. I'm big on social media. And what's ironic is when I stopped creating content and just started telling my story, I got more engagement, I got more views. Facebook started sending me $5. I was like, hey. And that's where I realized the secret lies. It's not about doing anything outside of creating a space so that way other people see themselves in it or want to learn more.
And I'm so glad you brought that up because, or I brought it up because for clarity, because what I know is, you know, people will talk about how dangerous Third Ward, Seventh Ward, Fifth Ward is, and I'm sitting there going, everybody I know from those communities are just like me, mom and dad at the house, hardworking, loving families, and I'm sitting here going, how in the world can the narrative be so negative when those communities are so positive, they're supportive, they're loving, all of that and you and I, because again, we're family, and I'll call it like it is and step on a couple of toes. Typically, it's because those communities look like me, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's why they're negative. And I'm sitting here going, I don't know what it's like to be raised by Big Mama because my parents were married for 59 years and together, right? Supportive, loving, just like the majority.
Mm-hmm.
So keep telling that story because again, I think we need to hear it, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We owe it to ourselves to tell people our truths. And we know that, again, just with the development, the growth that's happening in Houston and Harris County, the angst that's coming from gentrification or revitalization, which I like to call it, because I do believe that we deserve to live in beautiful communities. But we also know that there are alternative agendas. And so if you can shape a community as, dangerous, and you can drive down home values, and you can deter people from moving in there, it makes room for developers and investors to buy on pennies of the dollar. And so, as stewards of our communities, in which as realtors we are, it's important that we advocate not just for home values, but in humanity and community. And that's what people are looking for.
Well, and community, you're involved in so many. And I loved what I saw about the Pride celebrations. How is that community impacted you, your soul, your business, um, because it's impacted mine. So talk to me for a second about that.
Community is where I get my content from because it gives clarity of what people are actually saying, what they are wanting, and what they are hoping for, what's important for them. And one of the things that I share is that, when I'm a part of these communities, I'm not the leader, I'm not the head honcho. It's not Chasey's fantastic world. It's me supporting people in the same way that I would want to be supported. One thing that all of us know, if you've ever held an event or taught a class, is that when people show up, it fills you up. It makes you excited to do more of that. And I had to ask myself, well, who am I showing up for without expecting anything in return? Who am I helping capture clips and create content for, capturing a video? Because those are the things that I would want if I was hosting something. And so being able to kind of turn off my business hat and just be a member, just be a volunteer, just support, just show up. And that is my story in Keller Williams. I showed up, I became an Ignite trainer. I joined the ALC. These are leaders in the market centers that help create the space. I joined the International ALC. I found all of these places on, like, how can I help make something better, even if my name is not top and center?
And so with that, what is the creator of the soul? What is that? Your soul, mind, money. What is that all about?
So that is really my journey in really being able to now teach that and help business leaders and high-minded producers work through that process of being able to get in alignment with what is it that you really want and what is the mindset that you need to be, to get behind that, and how do we fund that. Like I said, I think that business is a result, not a reason. And so if we can get to the core, I believe that you'll never burn out. You'll be able to sustain market conditions. You'll be able to sustain AI. You'll be able to sustain all of these disruptors, people that are coming for your check, because one thing that they cannot do is replace who you are. And so when we get clarity about that, I think that we will have better businesses that will last longer. And as agents, we'll be more engaged, right? Because I mean, anybody, maybe it's just me, but when I'm not feeling my best, I'm not trying to come to the market center for nothing, right? So if we're going to create great businesses, then we have to first create our better selves.
And show up big for you
Yep.
before we can do it for anyone else. I love that. So talk to me about, because I know it's also important for you, because I think as I'm on the downhill slide of my journey in this amazing business and opportunity, um, I tell folks my big why right now is respected legacy. Legacy, I know is important to you, right? Talk to me. Tell me about that. What does that look like?
So when Juneteenth just recently passed in Houston, I went to go to an arts collective, and she wanted everybody to ask and write the answer to this question. And she said, "What kind of ancestor do you dream to be?" And I thought about that and really just how do we choose to be remembered? And I wrote down, I said, I want whoever's talking about me generations from now to say, man, your Auntie Chase, man, she would see you. You could talk to her. You could be straight with her. She could think through a problem. She could help you isolate lead dominoes. You know, my legacy hopefully is that people felt and feel seen when they're with me. And how do they feel? Um, the good news about real estate is I think I drive my resume. I drive down 288 and I say, like, I remember they're building that community. Oh, I remember when I sold that house, right? So I don't have a written resume. My resume looks like the communities that you build. I don't measure myself by volume sold. I measure myself by wealth built, for the over 200 families that I've helped. That's equity. And however you can calculate that, that's wealth. And so when I think about legacy, it's absolutely the work that you're doing now and what people remember of you. There's a song called "Forever Young" that as long as people continue to say your name, you'll stay alive forever. So uh, that's what I got.
Yeah, you broke up there, but I feel you, and I completely agree. I think David, my guest last week, said something which I've also articulated a number of different ways, but your reputation is your currency, and I think your reputation also is your legacy, because you're building and have built just a beautiful legacy, and again, I feel honored that you finally relinquished and decided to join me here, because I chased
I
you
had
for
to make you work for it. All the John Maxwell
you,
things, we appreciate those things that are hard.
that is no bullcorn. And so thank you for that. Now, I also know that because I think in this industry, if we're not taking care of us, then how in the world can we take care of others, right? I think you just finished your first 5K, right? Uh,
Absolutely.
and
I
I'm
died.
seeing your health journey. So again, there's a few of us, and Ben Baker's one because I've been consistent my entire life being an athlete, working out, but I've fallen off the wagon briefly, and I'm back. So what does that journey look like? Because I look at you, Chase, and I don't believe that you need to lose 20 or 30 pounds. And so I think for you, it might be more mental than physical. But again, let me stop making assumptions. I want to hear straight from you. Talk to me.
It is absolutely mental. One thing, I have waves of health and working out, and they always say, well, what's your goal? And it's the same, to prove to myself I can do hard things. And to me, that is just movement, is just showing up. I think that a lot of times we only want to be the expert. We never want to be the novice, even with the run club and the 5K, and everybody was like, how did you do? I did it. I set a baseline. And what I learned is that, we're so afraid to be seen trying that we either don't start or we hide in a cave until we feel like we're worthy enough to be seen by others. My process in running, and I, I use ran a 5K loosely. I walked a 5K. Okay. And nearly passed out afterwards, right? Uh, it doesn't matter because I completed the race. And so when I think about any kind of transformation that you're going through, whether it's physical transformation or something in your business or what storytelling, whatever it is that you're working on, showing up, that is the race. That is the race. Because I definitely could have stayed in bed, right? We started running at 7 in the morning. I could have hit snooze on Saturday and said, I don't want to do that. And so we'll see where it goes. You guys are seeing me at the very early of what it looks like. I haven't been running since high school. Even my coach was like, I remember when you first started. And I was like, well, I'm back at that first start because it's 20 years later and I haven't done anything since my last day at high school track. So, you just got to start where you are and be okay being last.
Yeah. Well, and I think just being vulnerable is okay. It's okay if folks see you not fail, but start.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's important, right?
Mm-hmm.
And again, I won't recite it properly, but again, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great, or whatever that saying is. And so, and there was something else you touched on, which it is so me. I tell folks, I'm a much better Indian than chief.
Yeah.
I love supporting others because I don't need the shine at all. And again, you had said something earlier that I thought was profound. It's like, who are you showing up for? Right? And who are you supporting? So again, I think those are powerful words. And so, guys, don't miss that nugget because again, she's already dropped a few. So there's Chase, there's Seth, who you know. I think Seth has his class. Uh, joining us today. So again, now I'm going to sound like most, interviewers. Drop me a nugget or something, right? These guys are all brand spanking new to this amazing journey that we call real estate and what I call now real estate wealth building, right? Talk to me. When you first started, or if you were speaking to this class in person, what would you tell them? Give them something.
Write down what you like to do. Don't sound fancy with it. This is what my coach said. I'm going to tell you guys 100% truth. I always do. And I was struggling. This is my first year, and I think it took like 7 months for me before I even had my first closing, right? So I had all of these mind games happening. And I had a productivity coach, and she said, well, what do you like to do? And I got my license when I was in 27. I said, I like to go to the club. She said, then go to the club. She said, what else do you like to do? I said, I like the arts. She said, then go to the arts. My first deal, who has been my client now through 3 homes and 1 commercial building, came from the bar at a club because that's who I was. And we stood at the bar. She had open her app. She was like, "Hey, I've been looking at this home." And what I realized is because success leaves clues, and your life leaves cycles. And what I realize is that most people talk to me when I'm outside. I can professionally speak with the rest of them. I can have a presentation, but most people feel isolated about that. And I found that people didn't feel like they could talk to me because of that. They didn't feel relatable. And so what I learned is that if you go do the things that you like to do, people will normally start to see the human that you are, and they will start to come to you. And so if you're in Seth's class right now and you're struggling with what's going on in your business, my first advice is, what do you like to do? And then go serve there. The second thing is, which way does your camera face? If your camera is always in selfie mode, then you are a selfish person. Turn your camera around and take photos of other people. Take videos of other people. Tell the stories of other people. Everybody is self-centered. So how do you become separate? How do you differentiate yourself? You become selfless. And in a world, and I'm telling you this not because of something I read, I'm telling you what people tell me. And if you look on social media, if you look at people, the one thing people will say they are struggling with is building community, having friends. They feel alone, they're isolated, they can't relate, they can't connect, they're looking for a group. That you're sitting in this class right now because you were tired of trying to figure out your business all alone in your living room or in your bed. And I'm only talking to myself. And so, what I'm telling you is that your answer, first of all, lies in community. But if you go out and the only way that you create content is in selfie mode, then you have missed the whole momentum that lies in others. So go alone. Most of the things I go to, I go by myself because it is way too much anxiety trying to convince Kelly to come with me to the run club. I gotta wake myself up. I don't want to have to wake up Kelly too. Go to things by yourself. You will find other people that are either by yourself or they'll just see who you are and show up frequently. If you're looking for something to get involved in, find a group that meets at least 2 times a month. That is the requirement. 2 times a month. The Run Club meets every Wednesday. And you do that so that way you become a familiar face. If you're doing stuff once a year, I forgot about you by the time you do it next year. If you're not good at creating events and you don't have the budget to create events, go join someone's events. And oh, by the way, this works with your business too. If you're struggling in business and you're trying to figure out how to fund this thing because AI is taking over, go join somebody's team and be a servant. Let go of the ego. My mom said 100% of zero is zero. And the truth of the matter is some ego is so high that you rather 100% of zero than X split of whatever. And here we are in June and you still haven't closed the deal. And so I'm not saying that to frustrate you. I'm just saying that in 15 years of experience, I have learned that no one succeeds alone.
Amen.
And I'd rather have half the pie than none of the pie.
Amen. Ooh, amen. Ooh, 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 baby. Chase, I'm feeling it because again, I'm spiritual and I'm like, we're going to church on Tuesday morning. It ain't nothing wrong with it. Praise the
Ain't
Lord.
nothing wrong with it.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Sweetheart, you've delivered the meat this week like I knew you would. I knew you would. All right,
Thank you.
finally. Okay, so tell me about real briefly. I think is it Fund Her Forward? Isn't that something
Fund
that
Her Forward. Yep.
give me that? Give me the meat on that. What is that about?
So Fund Her Forward, it is a group. Actually, it's led by Tiara Boo. She has the organization called She Can Work. I found this group because, again, I was looking for community. I was looking for Black women. I'm going to keep it straight. We got in this group and I saw an opportunity for people. They were teaching how to get capital and funding for your business, whether investors, angel work, capital through banks. And what I learned is that my stuff was not together. I know I'm the only one on this call that, got back due taxes and don't keep a P&L and don't have a bookkeeper. I know that you guys are perfect and y'all did all of that, right? And so I needed to find out. And one of the things that you talk about gems. She said a few things. Number one, she said, we are waiting for someone to give us permission to give funding. And that is not how it works. She said, you do not wait until your books are perfect and you're profitable. You start building those relationships now. And so it was a business cohort to start thinking like business owners. And one thing that she said is, as business owners, our job is to find solutions, not solve problems, right? That's what you hire people for. And so Fund Her Forward. It's an amazing opportunity just to get your professional world in order. So that way, when, the world falls and they say, okay, we're giving everybody $20 billion. But, oh, by the way, you need your past 2-year tax returns and we need to show a P&L statement. You're in position to say yes instead of sounding like your clients that say, oh, well, next year. Well, next year, that opportunity is gone. Right. So Fund Her Forward is just that.
I love it. I love it. Well, and again, it circles right back to don't wait to be invited, right?
Not.
What do we say in our community, right? If they don't allow us at the table, then we create our own.
Exactly.
We make our own table. So again, well, you tied that bow up sharp. I I love it. Chase, I love you. And I can tell you at our next event, we're breaking bread somewhere. Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Atlanta. I don't care, but put it on your schedule because we are, right? Guys, if you didn't get a nugget or two or three from today, then that's a you problem, right? So reach out to a Chase, give them your information because if you've got someone looking down in the Houston area, this is someone that you can trust with the business. You'll treat them like family. So, and I'm sure.
Absolutely. I'm going to put my contact information in the links, all of the socials where you can find me. And Ben, I just want to thank you guys just for allowing me to just come and fuss at you for a little bit. I promise I mean it in love, but if I did not care about you, I wouldn't tell you the truth. And
Amen.
so thank you guys just so much just for showing up for yourself today. And I'm really grateful to be here.